Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Munch, munch, munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenges of being a man in modern society and whatever the hell that even means. I'm Kane, and joining me this evening are Ryan and Maddie. How are you, boys?
Bit sore, mate, but otherwise pretty good.
Is that running or hockey? Because update, you actually have, since your bucket list episode, you have now enrolled in a marathon, have you not?
I have. I'll be doing the Melbourne Marathon come 13th of October. So yes, pumped 25Ks into the legs today, which was wonderful until K22, and in Melbourne it bucketed down with rain for the last bit of the run. So that was good fun, but yeah, a little bit sore, and recovery week next week, and then 29 and 34, and then a couple of weeks off, and then hit the marathon.
25Ks, how long did that take?
I was going at a pretty cruisy pace. It was about 2.5 hours. So I'm trying to get used to running for a long time. Just running straight and amusing myself.
Well, next time you're going to go for a run, just run down my way. That'd be a good solid 15, 20 Ks. Just run out here and we'll have a beer, and then you have to get a cab home or something.
Yeah, that could work, actually.
Right, you, Maddie, how you doing?
I'm good, gents. I'm good. Congratulations, Ryan, on entering into that. That's pretty awesome, mate. Do you get to run out on the MCG? Is that where the Melbourne one finishes still?
Yeah, you finish on the G. So thank you for the congratulations, but I haven't done it yet. So to actually see that I don't break down in the next 6 weeks before the run would be nice.
Well, at the current rate you're going at that training, I would have already broken down. But are you going to run out onto the G? You're going to do the marathon in the Kangaroos jumper, so you can run out of the G in the Kangaroos jumper? 13 on the back? Whose number would you have on the back?
That's a very good question. These days, probably the captain, 7. Back in before, it definitely would have been Brent Harvey. But yes, he's no longer playing, so I don't really have a key favourite player anymore. I just like the team. But no, North Melbourne will not be seeing any MCG action in September or October, so maybe I will.
I reckon 42 Ks in a footy top would be quite painful on the old nipples, mate.
Yes, I don't think I'll be doing that one.
It's not like the old Michael Tuck days when you're running around with a long sleeve woolen jumper in the 40-degree heat or something. Different these days. They're all pretty fancy jumpers, or Guernseys or jerseys or whatever they're called.
Whatever they call it.
Well, this week is our celebratory episode of Daddy Eats Last. We've been doing this for over a year now, a year and a week. Or a year and 2 weeks or somewhere near that. So congratulations, gents. Did you ever think that when we started this as just a bit of a laugh and just us having a chat on a weekly basis, it would last a year? Might have had more faith than me.
I didn't think we'd last a year. Well, not that I didn't think that. I just thought we'd sort of run out of material. But we've got to the year, and there's still heaps of. For listeners out there, Kane has done a bit of a list of topics to discuss, and I reckon we've barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, there's a lot of things which I haven't even put on that list yet, to be honest. So there's other things which we can discuss from our personal lives and our histories, which are not even on there. They're just sort of more general topics when we need something to chat about, as opposed to things which are, I guess, closer to our personal lives and hearts.
Generally, the second season of a TV show is always better than the first, so stay tuned, everybody.
Did that apply to Friends? Because that was your favourite show of all time.
Yeah, season 1 wasn't that great of Friends, to be honest. I didn't really like it too much.
Well, apparently this week I did see on Twitter that there was somebody had come out on, I think it was on BuzzFeed, and just said Friends, when you look back at it, was just utter garbage. So there's probably some truth in that. And the main GIFs and images they were showing was Ross just doing his double fist pump. I don't even know what that means. Can you tell me what that means? Because I'm interested now.
I think that was a sneaky way of saying the big FU rather than saying it out loud. You just do the double fist pump, and it was like their little thing to say.
There you go. Daddy Eats Last, giving you all sorts of tidbits on things like Friends, parenting, being a man in modern society. Now, what I thought for this episode, it's celebratory. We're having a bit of fun tonight, to be honest. We might be able to ask a few questions of each other, which have come up over the duration, or maybe some burning or fun questions of each other, which we might have had. I did have one straight off the bat, and this is coming off the episode which you missed a couple of weeks ago, Ryan, when Maddie and I were talking about sleep divorces. Maddie disclosed that he's a spooner, which I thought kind of went out of fashion when you turned 21, but he's been spooning ever since, which I think is really cute. As my little fellow would say, that is very cute. So I just want to ask you, Ryan, are you a spooner?
I did. So we were on our tech-free little weekend away, which was lovely, and I'm in Maddie's camp. I am a spooner.
You're a spooner.
Yeah, I did notice that you've now got a koala bed based on my recommendation, having listened to that episode. So smart man there. But I was Camp Maddie on that episode.
You're a spooner. Wow. I've met TK a handful of times. She doesn't strike me as somebody who would tolerate a spoon. Or does she spoon you?
Depends on the night.
Oh, I see you alternate spoon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Got to keep the fire going. Got to keep the love there. So
we did think you'd be the spooner, Ryan.
Thank you. Look, sometimes it's just nice and comforting. You had a tough day, it works.
That's awesome. I feel like a cold hard bitch now. I
Not to make you point you out as the asshole of the three, but
yeah. I clearly am.
I was Team Maddie.
I'm going to go spoon the missus tonight. She'll probably tell me to get nicked, actually. I think she doesn't really like it as much as, I don't. Oh, it's not that I don't like doing it. It's just, I get very warm very quickly. So any sort of spooning activity usually leads to like a thermal reactor sort of erupting inside me. So, mine's more temperature-based rather than love-based.
Good save.
That was one of the main things I wanted to ask that we'd kind of come across over the duration. Around spoonage, but it's now been solved.
Mysteries of life.
Are there any topics we've
the
covered?
Challenges of the modern man today?
Exactly, to spoon or not to spoon? That is the question.
It's what everyone talks about in pubs, clearly.
Oh, yeah. Are there any topics which you've really enjoyed us chatting about, or were really real eye openers? I know we've shared a little bit and done trilogies of bucket lists and goals and things like that, and the different ways we approached particular things. Are there any topics which kind of that we've covered over the duration, which you kind of remember of going, was really shocked about something which one of us would have said?
When we did the comparison of, the benefits of not having kids and the benefits of having kids, but then also the challenges of having kids, I've gotten a fair bit out of that one, and that sort of stuck in there, which I do have a question about that, but I'll let Maddie answer this one first.
Okay. Looking forward to that question. For me, I think it was, because living up in Brisbane, I've known Kane for a very, very long time, but I've only been introduced to Ryan through Daddy Eats Last, and I've only met him physically once. So I think the day in the life of episodes were really good for me. I really enjoyed listening to Ryan's day, just to get more of an insight on what he does, and also Kane as well. I mean, I know I like a lot of what you do, Kane, but it was great to just get more of an in-depth sort of perspective of how you run your life with a little guy. And so for me it was those ones, I think.
Yeah, they were really good. I enjoyed those ones, and like you mentioned, the routine one, and then the bucket list I found interesting as well, just the different goals which we have, and whether Ryan mentioning before, like obviously when we chatted about kids and not having kids and the differences, whether that maybe fast tracked the marathon part of his bucket list as well. So
possibly.
Yeah, so
I mean, I agree with you guys. I think just highlighting those differences have been one of the good things. Like, the day in the life of and the bucket list and that kind of thing, how that it's completely, we all know each other and friends and everything like that, but we've got differences there in what we do and what we want to do and all that kind of thing. And that's sort of part of the main point of this, is that a man today is very ununiformed.
Yeah, and again, that's part of the reason we started Daddy Eats Last, is to outline the fact that we're all different as men. We all approach things differently, and that's perfectly okay. So, yeah, that was one of the main reasons we chatted about, and it is something which I now look forward to every Sunday night, is just catching up with you guys and chatting about something, and also just finding out what's been going on in your week. So, even from that point of view, actually being able to touch base with two other guys on a weekly basis is something which I have never done before. I really enjoy it and I really value it.
And I think if you look back as well, like what you just said there, Kane, about catching up on a weekly basis, like so much has happened in the last 12 months for all of us. I mean, Kane's turned 40 and crashed his bike into a bollard. Ryan's been overseas a few times, gotten engaged as well. I just had Sam when we started doing this, and they're renovating as well. So, whilst we lead completely different lives, and we're so busy, we've all got a fair bit in common still.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Ryan,
Yeah.
question.
I do, but just before I go into that, there's actually a real therapeutic benefit of guys like actually genuinely needing guy time. There's actual medical evidence around it. So next time you are trying, those who are out there trying to get a boys' night out or whatever, it's extremely good for your physical and mental health. Maybe not so good the next day, but depending on what the boys' night is. But the case that you can put towards getting that night is very strong, because
as long as you're home in time to spoon.
Exactly. Or you make up for it.
And as long as our partners don't turn around and say, well, you're not going out to the pub because on Sunday nights you do Daddy Eats Last.
Yeah, that's true.
We actually we have a guy who he's just had his second kid. They got two kids under 11. No, not 11. Geez, under 3. That's a 25 Ks in me. And he plays indoor cricket with us Monday night, and he pretty much then says, besides the leave pass that I get once a week on Monday nights, I get once a month, boys. That's so we need to be selective of what we do.
Once a week plus one. That's a good theory though. Once a week plus one, you get one activity or one thing a week, and then a special thing on a monthly basis. So I like that rule. I think that's fair and equitable as well.
But my the question that I was thinking actually was, for both of you guys, would you have had kids at a different age than when you had them, and if so, why? Or were you very happy at the age that you did have kids?
That is a good question.
Want to go first, Kane?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that one on first, Maddie. Would I like to have had kids earlier? Probably a little bit earlier. Would it have made a difference? It would definitely make a difference. I think if you're a bit younger and you have a bit more energy, and energy doesn't peter out. I'm fairly lucky in that I do seem to have a fairly good reserve of energy. I don't really kind of get too run ragged by my little fella yet. I'm sure that will change in 10 years' time when I'm pushing 50 and he's just hitting his teens. But at this stage, I'm really happy with the decision to have kids now. I don't think I would have been ready to have kids when I was 30. I just hadn't. I probably hadn't matured as much as I should have to be bringing in an individual into the world who would have relied on me. I would have been a pretty poor dad at that point of time. I think now I'd be a significantly better dad than I would have been back sort of 10 years ago. So I think when I had kids was probably the perfect time for me. And I just hope that when my little fella's turning 13 and 21, when I'm sort of 50 and 60, that I still have enough energy to kind of, energy and health to kind of be helpful to him.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. I'm happy with the age we had kids. I think maybe if I had 3 boys, I might be changing that to saying I wish I had them a bit younger, because they probably would have run me around ragged like Kane said. But 2 girls and a boy, I think the age I had them was fine. So we life is pretty good with what we've done.
And on that, Maddie, how old were you when you had your first one?
I was 31, so I married at 29, then waited a year or 2, and then bang, away we went. So just crept into the 30s.
No, Ryan, you're pretty good at you're very good at sort of whiteboarding what you want to do in your future. Your bucket list was very awesome bucket list of gearing things around, career and family and things like that. Have you put much thought into number of kids you and TK may want and what that timeline may look like, or is that something which is still a question mark?
I'll return that question and go, having known me now for 12 months, both of you, on this podcast forum, what do you think the answer to that would be?
I think you've got an Excel spreadsheet with it all done.
There's no Excel spreadsheet because I'm not nearly as good at them as Kano. But yes, no, ideally 2. For me, 31, 32 for the first, 33, 34 for the second. So something like that. Probably the discussions that I've had with TK, she's happy to be a bit later. So it'd probably be the 32, 34 combo if we get everything the way that we want it.
Now, Maddie, you touched on there about boys and girls, and you've got 2 girls and a boy. I've got 1 boy. Ryan has yet to be determined how many numbers. Did it matter to you? Some people get really hung up on genders. I remember going to a wedding once and somebody in their speech talking about, I can't wait to have a son so I can take him to do X and to do Y. I thought it was a really weird thing to sort of say, where I didn't care if my child ended up being a boy or a girl, and we're probably only going to have one. Whether it was a boy or a girl, it didn't make any difference as long as they were happy and they were healthy. But some people have a preference or a leaning. Did you have any leaning at all?
No leaning at all. But having had 2 girls, there was kind of a feeling as if, a third girl would be fantastic, because the first 2 were absolute angels. They were great, knew what to expect. A boy was a little bit, out of the out of the norm, I suppose, because we'd had 2 girls. So I was kind of sort of hoping that the third may have been a girl, but now that it's a boy, I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, that makes some sense. It's just interesting one. Not that you ever get to really, or I guess you can choose these sort of things to some extent in some instances these days, but it's just an interesting one where I'd been to a wedding and somebody in their wedding speech was talking about that. So that's a really random thing to kind of assume that you're going to have kids, everything's going to be okay, you can have a kid, and that you want the kid to be a particular gender. There's that many variables in there, and that I know of that many people who have really struggled to sort of fall pregnant, especially in the shorter term, and some have had to rely on IVF, and some that haven't even worked, where you can have that assumption that you really like a particular gender of kid. Just given that that's what that kind of question which came up, I just thought it was an interesting one to ask.
Yeah, I mean, considering how hard it is for some people to actually even get pregnant, going down and thinking about the sex of the child at the start is a bit, why bother? Get pregnant first. But following on from that, I was going to ask, and I'll ask you second, Ryan, did you find out, Kane, what you were going to have?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we found out. We didn't. We shared it with whoever wanted to. We didn't tell my parents because they didn't really want to know. They wanted a surprise. But I'm very practical about these things. So is my partner. We're very much like along the lines of, okay, we'd like to know just so we can kind of plan, inverted commas, just to make sure we've got some things sorted instead of just, the hardest thing I think is if you have a kid and then you're going, okay, now I've got to go and sort out a whole bunch of stuff because you're very time poor from the moment that kid kind of arrives on the scene.
Yeah, fair enough.
Did you?
Ryan, what about you? We didn't find out full 3. Yeah.
There you go.
Sort of, just wanted that surprise. Now, Ebert, you seem like the kind of guy who will need to find out, I'm tipping.
I don't know, actually. We haven't thought about it. And going back to your last point, it's interesting that you said that you would have wanted 3 girls. That would probably freak me out. But then again, the thought of 3 kids freaks me out. But I know that my mum went for a third very much after 2 boys in the hope for a girl. So it was the actual opposite. If we, in the ideal world scenario, no idea how this will happen because it doesn't run in either of our families, but we would get twins in the first hit, 101.
You might spoon TK, but you're a bad man for wishing that on her.
No, she wants it.
Oh my God.
It's one pregnancy. Done.
Oh.
And you're tired as anything. We do know somebody who does have kids. His theory is instead of having 2 kids when they were born, he had 1.7 of the effort because, and he reasons with it and goes, you're tired and sleep deprived as hell. You just add another one to it. And at least when they both are hitting 5 together, you get sleep back. You don't then have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. That would be a nightmare. So I can see some logic. But yeah, if we, phenomenally ideal world, we knock 2 off in one go and be done with it. We haven't thought whether we'd find out. I suspect that I probably would, from just the practicality sense of going, what to do, and get set up beforehand, trying to set as much of it up beforehand, but maybe not. We really haven't crossed that one. So I guess stay tuned.
You'll probably be that lucky that you'll get twins and you'll get the genders that you want. It'll just probably pan out that way. There's no twins running in either side of the family, but somehow twins will just be, come and, good luck. Good luck.
Would be wonderful.
Anything else, boys? Anything else over the last 12 months? We've got plenty of time for however long we do Daddy Eats Last. And we don't have a fixed time that we'll do this. Like, we'll just eventually at some point, I'm sure we'll run out of podcasts, or, we'll just have a falling out. Like, I'll call Maddie a bad name or something offline, or then he's inappropriate, and this will just...
He'll become a full Queenslander, and then we'll have to abandon him. So,
exactly right. Exactly right. Never turn to the dark side, please. But the plan is to do this for as long as we possibly can, and while we still enjoy it as well. Like I said before, I legitimately enjoy catching up on a weekly basis. I've really missed over the last little bit updates on Maddie's development in his backyard, renovating. So I'd really like to know how the cubby's going. But outside of that, it's been great. How is the cubby going?
Kim used it as a canvas to work out what to paint the house. So it's a bit of a mismatch at the moment.
Oh, wow.
But, mid-October, we're due to be back in. So you'll have some more cubby updates in about a month and a half. So,
excellent. Once you're back in, I think we might do some picture updates on the website, daddyeatslast.com.
Yeah.
So, that'd be good. Keep everyone up to date on the developments on that.
And the renovations as well, because renovating is an absolute bitch of a job to do.
That is true.
Yes.
But Maddie's paying someone for that. Well, I just want to see the hard work and pain and suffering he's going through on that cubby.
Although the other week we put the the laundry in. We just got an IKEA laundry to save money. And
in the cubby?
No, no, the kids wish. In the actual laundry, and we got a photo from the builder saying the sink you bought does not fit or the trough doesn't fit in the cupboard. So that's why you get builders to do these things, guys. Save yourself some.
That's excellent advice, and that's what Daddy Eats Last is all about. And that does wrap it up for this week on Daddy Eats Last. Remember to subscribe to Daddy Eats Last on iTunes if you haven't already, and while you're there, please leave a review, even if it's just to tell us how poorly Maddie is at making cubbies, or how bad I'm at what I do generally.
Not spooning.
No, they're not spooning. It is not spooning. I have no spooning skills. Tell your mates about the podcast, especially if they are guys. Most of all, thanks for listening. And we'll be back next week for another spoonful, or should I say serving, of Daddy Eats Last. How's that for a dad joke? Catch you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.